This is The Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
Hello and Happy New Year from everyone here at The Basketball Show. Joe and Hammer with you at the desk as we kick off 2023. Hammer, happy holidays.
Happy New Year to you, Joe, and everybody at home. Now, what did you get up to New Year's? You're up in Cairns. Big comeback.
Equal biggest fourth quarter comeback by the Taipans. They were so down and out. I honestly do not know what we witnessed up there, but they got the dub. So a really fun night.
I wasn't talking about the game. We all know the result of the game. I was talking about big comeback. Who were you partying with up there?
I watched the fireworks from my hotel room.
So who were you partying with?
I was on my own, actually.
Woo!
What did you get up to?
I tried to stay up for the fireworks, but went to sleep at 11:30.
Oh, Snorefest.
Oh, man. Boring. Anyway.
All right, we have a big show to kick us off. We're talking massive scores in the NBA, LeBron and the Lakers, the Logue in the NBL, and we'll also talk to Hawks coach Jacob Jacomas as well. It's all thanks to TCL Mobile, 2K23 and UPCOZ. Let's get into our TCL starting five. Right, we're talking injuries. We will speak to Jacob about the Hawks later because they definitely cannot catch a break. But Southeast Melbourne, they need some bodies as well. Gary Brown's out or has been out for the last few weeks. Trey Kell, injury issues. Rowdy has only just come back. And obviously Joe Chi as well has left. Not necessarily injury issues, but they need bodies.
Yeah, they do. And the worrying one for me is Brown because it's that calf. Like, you want to rush people back because they need results now. They were playing great basketball before they got those injuries, but they're a team that hasn't been able to play without some of their stars as well. Like, you see the Kings, they win a game without Derek Walton Jr. They've also been able to do it without Cooks as well. But, they need them back. They need them back in a hurry, but they can't take risks for the end of the season as well.
Good news is they've got a full week off, so they take on the Bullets next Monday. Hopefully at least one of those two will be back. Melbourne United, they are keeping themselves in the race. They've won 4 of the last 5. And we mentioned the Logue in the middle of the table there. Yep. They are still a chance.
They are a chance, Joe. They are a very big chance. And they've done well to be able to stay together when they really had such a bad start to the season. Is there any coincidence that Rattam Mays is playing less minutes now and they're starting to win? I remember when he played for Gorge last year, he went from starting to then coming off the bench. Gorge put him on a minutes restriction, and he's one of those guys that has a lot of talent and he looks pretty and can put some stats on the board, but whether he just makes winning plays all the time is a question mark for me. But they've fought hard. They've had some really good scalps. Yeah,
they have massive win over the Jackomas. Marcus Lee has been really good for them as well.
He's been a good pickup.
The Webster brothers back together. So Tai had his first game in red against Sydney over the weekend. Massive flop from the Wildcats from their point of view. But do you like the fact that he's back in the NBL and back playing with Corey?
I think he's got a great personality. I think he's really good for the league. Outstanding player, no doubt about that. Very difficult to come in and have to play within a week and everybody adjust, especially when you're a dominant ball-carrying player that can have an impact like that. It makes it hard. They're certainly more talented. They give themselves a chance as things unwind, having him on the team compared to what they had. But still question marks about what they've done. And, you know, the biggest question mark for me, their marquee player. 2 marquee players, Norton, 0 points against the Kings. Blanchfield, big package. And I like both of those guys, 0 points. So 21 minutes, 0 a donut. That's worrying.
Yeah, okay, we'll speak more about the Wildcats with D-Ruck in points made shortly. They've got a really tough run home as well. Speaking of the Kings, though, they are on a roll. They're sitting pretty on the top of the ladder. Can anyone beat them in a series?
Yes, a team can, but they won't. I'm going to touch wood because only injury can beat the Sydney Kings in my mind. They've shown they're just so dominant. They've got so many great pieces. They'll have one key player out and they find a way to be able to get it done. The roster's been really well put together. They've got depth, they've got quality. Really well coached. It's about time, I reckon, the rest of Australia starts standing up and saying, Chase Buford is the coach of the year. And 40's done a great job, no doubt about that, in New Zealand. Great job. But he's been unbelievable, Chase Buford, hasn't he?
He's been excellent. I mean, it would be insane to think that he potentially leaves the NBL next year with 2 championships and didn't pick up a Coach of the Year award.
Yeah, and I can understand the arguments for the other guys. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But come on, please.
Yeah. The Cairns Taipans have also been very impressive. They are at full strength with Keanu Pinder, probably one of the teams that can, on their day, match it with the Kings. I would say that the Breakers have the depth from a big point of view to be able to do that as well.
I agree with that. The only thing that suggests otherwise is the Kings have really dominated New Zealand twice in New Zealand. But you're right. I mean, I expected Cairns to drop off the longer the season went. The last wins that they've had without Pinder has probably been their most impressive, because Pinder
4 in a row without him
has been so dominant and improved so much to be, in that running for All-Star 5. And other guys have been able to step up. And, 40 with a smaller budget has put together a really unique team that is difficult to be able to match up against. They believe, they play hard, they play together, and they've been impressive.
Can they go deep in the playoffs?
Well, they can. It's hard to write them off and say that they can't do that, because they are so unique. So, I'm going to be really interested to see how it plays out. I think it's tough for them to beat, the Kings in a 3-game series, even New Zealand in a series. But you can't write them off.
Third at the moment, 14-7 on the season, a game and a half behind the Kings at the top of the ladder. And before we move on, a quick shout out to Matthew Dellavedova, who's had his contract with the Kings
ching ching
guaranteed, which is great for him.
Awesome for him. I think it also helps him with his payments in the future as well, his retirement fund. So well done to Delly, and it's nice to see teams recognise somebody that isn't just about the stats, that does all the little things. He would be like having an assistant coach at the end of the bench and in the locker room, because he's all about the team.
And on the training court, for sure.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, no, that is in the basket of things you love to see.
Breaking all the big news in basketball with Matt Logue.
All right, Matty Logue is in the house, always keeping us updated on what is going on. Matty, what have you got for us this week?
Yeah, big injury, obviously, with Mitch Creek on the weekend, a knock to the eye. I know he went on social media and sort of allayed some fears, but I got a message from a staffer there saying that it was that bad. It was a scratch right on the white bit of the eye, and it was that bad. When he opened it, he was in pain. He was seeing like blurred vision. So I know he'll see specialists this week, and 7 days, as you guys have mentioned, till their next game against the Brisbane Bullets at home. So a bit of time, but geez, if he's not there, I can't see the Phoenix making it without him, and then doing anything without him. He's that crucial.
But they've got the bye. They play Brisbane, right? Now, Brown and Trey Calabac.
Didn't know what you were talking about then.
Aren't they?
But
They're
anyway,
back?
Play on.
They're back?
Yeah, they should be
So
back.
that's
Yeah,
it.
so both those imports will be back, expected to be back. So that's a boost. And look, the eye is a very sensitive area, so fingers crossed.
It also heals very quickly.
So that's also a positive. So look, it's good for the Phoenix though. They need him there.
Good
They've
form.
had a horror run.
He's been in unbelievable form.
Well,
Yeah.
he's right in the race now for MVP.
yeah, it has to be.
So we're talking about the protection of star players, Creek being one of them, Keanu Pinder being another. Both of those coaches have sort of come out. I know Simon Mitchell wasn't particularly happy with what happened, but we just saw the vision there. It didn't look like there was too much in it.
Yeah.
What's the latest there? What's happening?
Oh, I'm getting white noise from the NBL. So I think they sort of think, well, it was. I think it was an accident. It was accidental. I understand the concept of we've got to look after our players, but not only our star players, but any player when it comes to that. But from looking at the vision, it's purely accidental. I don't know how they're supposed to, what are the referees supposed to do in that instance, in my opinion. It's a hard one, I get. I know what you think, Shane. You've been around and you've played and you've been around longer than me. So what can the referees do in that instance? Sometimes I do agree though that certain players get targeted, and the star players do get targeted.
That happens at every.
It happens in every game. So I don't know how it leaves officials in a very difficult position to try and manage that.
Thoughts?
Agree?
You've got to base it on each incident, don't you?
Yeah,
I agree right on that. If you start seeing things where teams are targeting and getting physical, then you need to be able to get after it. But there's no blanket rule on this, I don't think.
No, it's too hard.
The latest on Joe Chi, what are you hearing?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Returned to China for family reasons, and Phoenix, the clock's ticking there, right? They've only got a few games left. They don't play in the last round, and they want him to come back. I think he's thinking about it, but the big problem is that COVID's reared its head in China again. So anyone leaving China to come to Australia has to do 2 weeks quarantine.
Oh, so hard no.
So he's not coming back.
He's not coming back. I just can't see him coming back. So that's another layer. I pose the question with those injuries, can they get it done? They make it. Can they get it done? Can they be a threat in the postseason?
I don't know what kind of guy he is. He might be the kind of person who's like, no, I'm coming back. I'm good with this. I want to do it for the team. If it's me, I'm not sitting in a hotel for 2 weeks.
They can. I think he's important, but he's not the difference between them winning it and losing it, in my mind. If they had the other imports back in, they've still got the capabilities and the talent to be able to test any team in a series. Whether they do or not's another thing, but they've certainly got the talent.
And before we let you go, you've had a bit of reaction to your list of most influential basketball figures. What's that been like?
Oh, don't do lists, Joe. Just don't do lists. That's my biggest advice. Oh, look, at the end of the day, it's subjective, it's opinion. There are so many people that have influenced. So the first list, which caused a lot of uproar, was the current influences in the game. It's not taking in history. And that's why, like Paul Smith, he's influencing the game at the moment. Some people don't like that, but that's just facts, right? That's just facts. And the past is the collection of history. Now, there are that many people in basketball. I got asked to put it down to a top 10. Now, I argue anyone to put it down to a top 10 without getting hammered by someone. But the whole aim of these guys, I think basketball does need to take a step back sometimes and just chill a bit and go, okay, this is one person's opinion. And also, it's about having a conversation who are influential in basketball. And I'm getting messages from people saying, oh, this person and this person and this person. We're having a conversation and a debate about basketball. And as the great Andrew Bogut once said to me, isn't that a good thing?
It's healthy.
Yeah. It's healthy. It's what the game needs. I just think, dare I say it, some individuals just need to take a chill pill and just go with it and realise it's not personal. It's just my opinion. Like, and the great body could do a list and it could be retired News Corp NBL journalist and it could be completely different. He's seen different things. Joe could do one, but I think at the end of the day, basketball is front and centre, and we're talking about it, not that big bash, right?
Basketball's the winner, guys.
People need
do you know what I mean?
Relax,
Like,
mate. If you're not on a list, it doesn't matter.
Basketball didn't get any coverage.
Yeah, of course. It's great for basketball.
It's good. Anyway, chill.
And it's better if somebody else argues your case about why you should be on.
Well, yeah. I think look, personally, that's a big thing. We won't go into that one, Shane, but all I'll say is that it's good, healthy debate.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Love you, mate.
By the way, why wasn't I on it?
You save those messages for later.
You chill. All right, time to go crystal gazing. We'll bring in the former NBL MVP turned Mayor of Brisbane, and occasionally he paces the sidelines of Bullets games. Derek Cracker. D, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Happy to be back, and I'm curious about the standings at the moment. Am I still on top?
You have made some progress, yes, on top with 41. I'm second with 40. Hammer, you're on 38, and Maddie, we have just pretty much sort of, I don't know, put a line through you in terms of the leaderboard. Now, round 15, a super important round for a lot of teams in the middle of the standings. Tipping off tomorrow night, Illawarra hosting the Jackomas. The Hawks, you've got to feel for them. They can't catch a break at the moment. Is that an easy one for you, Derek?
Oh, of course. The Jack Jumpers all the way. I don't think there's any contest here. And now it's really desperate times. As you said, there's a big gang of teams in the middle. And I just think looking at some of the metrics last night and team stats, I just think the Jack Jumpers are primed to make a run and qualify in that top four, Joe.
In the top 4D?
Yes.
Wow, okay, I need to remember that. We need to talk about that later. The Wildcats host the Breakers. This is a rescheduled game. The Wildcats desperate for a win, Hammer, but it's not an easy task.
Tough task. They'll be better that Tai Webster has had an extra week with them. They certainly have more firepower and a little bit more flair because we love his personality of what he brings to the NBL, but it's not going to be enough to get a win, I don't think. I think New Zealand are just too solid all the way across the floor. I'm not sure Perth have the horses to be able to shut them down at the defensive end, so I think New Zealand in a close one.
Wednesday night, the Kings head up to Brizzy. They take on the Bullets. Two teams in very different places right now. The Bullets, though, maybe with the size to match with Sydney, Maddie?
Yeah, I think regardless, their season's done. They're playing for whatever pride's left, and the Kings will, they'll just cruise through this one. They can't be complacent though, but they should be way too good.
Thursday, 2 games, the Breakers and Melbourne United first up. How do they match up, D?
Oh, this is a tough one right here. I liked how Melbourne played down in Tasmania the other day. I think they'll be desperate, but I'm going to go with New Zealand to get this one just barely.
Fair enough. Then it's the Jack Jumpers taking on Adelaide in Tassie. A big game in terms of ladder positions, Hammer.
Huge game for both teams, and this is really a flip of the coin. We know both teams are capable of being able to get this one done, but I'm going to go with Tassie. They've just been able to create a few problems for Adelaide in the past. I think they're a little bit more reliable. I see them all being on the same page and probably just, again, playing with a little bit more consistency, but Adelaide's going to be desperate. They've got the talent to be able to win it. I'm just going to go for a little upset because I need to get up that ladder.
I love that. Cairns and the Hawks face off on Friday night. Do you give the Hawks a chance, Matty?
Yeah, no, unfortunately. Cairns, they're cruising. They can get Pinder back. I think, they're a real threat, and I think in some ways we're underestimating them. I think everyone's talking about the Kings and New Zealand. Adelaide's talented, and Tassie, but Cairns have been terrific. They've had an amazing season, second last year. So, yeah, they'll win this one, and they'll build towards the playoffs.
Yeah, don't be sleeping on the Taipans. There is so much basketball on at the moment. We absolutely love it. 2 more games on Saturday. The Bullets and Melbourne United first. Derek, we know Melbourne can't afford any L's.
This is Melbourne's game, but I've got a question for Matt. Are we pretty much resigned to the fact that Brisbane and Illawarra are not going to win another game except for when they play each other? They have one showdown left.
I think you're right, mate. Didn't you exclusively reveal on this show that Brisbane wouldn't win another game?
All right, the 36ers then head west to take on Perth. A tough run home for Perth. They also need to keep winning, Hammer.
Well, another flip of the coin game for me, and Adelaide could go on the road, win both these games in Tassie and in Perth, but I'm actually going for them to lose both games. I think Perth will bounce back from their first loss. Big home crowd, but again, a game that really could go either way. But it's really going to determine where these teams finish, and they'll both be desperate.
The first game on Sunday is going to be a cracker. The Breakers and Cairns, 2nd versus 3rd. Matty, who wins it?
New Zealand, because they're at home. That gives them a huge advantage. They've been awesome. Gary Brown Jr., Brantley, I was really impressed with his performance against Adelaide. They're big. Will McDowell-White, rate him highly. Yeah, I think the Breakers will win this one, and watch out come the playoffs.
Poor guy playing with a broken finger as well, which is nuts. The Freeway Series up next. Kings taking on the Hawks. They are the road warriors, Derek, but they've been so tough at home, the Kings.
Yeah, this is all Kings. Boy, I don't know what to say really about this one. I mean, just winding down the season for Illawarra. If I'm Illawarra, I'm going to start playing some younger guys and seeing what they can do. Get Lockie Dent out there. Get some guys with some spirit. Play Greta a lot. Just get him some confidence back. And I think that's the way you can kind of salvage whatever remains of this season for them.
Round 15 wraps up with, Hammer, what you referred to as a bye game for the Phoenix. I take it you don't think Brizzy will get the win there?
Well, just back to the Kings. Well done. Tip your hat to the Sydney Kings with the crowds they've been getting. Absolutely incredible. They set a record the other day for the amount of tickets they've sold in one day for the history of the Sydney Kings. So massive crowd again for that Illawarra game. Yeah, South East Melbourne get this. They get the bye. Doesn't matter who's coming back and forward. Doesn't matter the Creek's going to sit out. They'll probably get a little bit of playing time into their imports that are coming back from injury, and that could get them some confidence.
If we're doing record shout-outs, the Adelaide 36ers had their biggest ever crowd as well over the weekend. So the NBL in a very healthy place at the moment. Thanks, guys. All right, D-Ruck is still with us as we get into points made thanks to UPCOZ. Now, Hammer, you alluded to this earlier, the Perth Wildcats and their recruiting in particular. What exactly do you want to talk about?
Well, it has to come under the microscope. You know, the Perth Wildcats have made the playoffs for 33 straight years, and then last year under new management missed out, and then this year reloaded and have missed out. And I think with the signing of Tai Webster, it's really interesting because they've recruited him over Mitch Norton, who's one of their marquee players. Todd Blanchfield, highly paid player. And I like both those guys individually. But you don't bring these other guys in if your key players are getting it done. And, the spotlight has to go on to Danny Mills. He's the one that's put these rosters together, and it's competitive out there. But to be able to throw it now to Tai Webster, do you think it's a great signing, D? And what do you think about the construction that's been made?
Oh, boy, this is a tough one. I don't necessarily love the Webster brothers together. I love them apart. And you see how Corey, now that he's kind of reacquainted himself with the league, he's more comfortable now. He's comfortable with what the Wildcats want. He's playing really good basketball. But I've never really enjoyed the mix when he and Tai played together. I thought there were other places where Tai could have gone to finish out the season and kind of establish himself. Now, to your Danny Mills issue, I think it takes time for guys that have been outside the league to refamiliarize themselves with the playing style. And I think that's what Perth are going through at the moment. John Really's been in the United States for a long time. Danny Mills has been with the 76ers for a long time. So while they probably made some mistakes, they haven't been the biggest mistakes that we've seen this year in the NBL, Shane. And look, both of those guys are talented. Danny Mills has a good track record. I think that he'll sort it out. And certainly the Nordo and Blanchfield signings, look, it's tough. Like, those guys are starting to get a little bit older. They played very long seasons, not only with the Wildcats, but internationally as well. And that can take a toll on their bodies.
Hey, D, Hammer said they're done for the season, but they're only 7th, 10-10 after 20 games. They've got a tough run home, but can you see them making the playoffs?
Joe, I think they're more likely a play-in candidate. It's going to be vitally important that they win these home games, and they've got some tough ones coming up in the draw, and they're going to need Bryce to perform at that superstar level. Any slippage from Bryce, any slippage from Corey Webster, and they're done.
Well, it could come down to whether they beat the Kings. End of the day. It could. No.
That's not
they've
the
got
type
the
of
Kings.
game you want, Shane.
Well, they've got 3 games, isn't it? 3 games.
2 more games against the Kings, and they've
Kings.
got them the very last game of the season.
So it's going to be tough. I see them as a play-in.
Can't wait for it. Get the popcorn out. Guys, we've got to talk about the NBA. The West, it is tight. The top 10 teams are just a few games apart. The Lakers are surging at the moment. Dean, what have you liked about what you're seeing? LeBron, I think he had another, 37 points yesterday against the Kings. He's playing some serious basketball right now.
He has. He's been a great leader. Since Anthony Davis has gone out, they went on the little slide, obviously, as they try and readjust. But Thomas Bryant has come in fantastically well and filled that spot. I think yesterday he may have had 20-plus points and 20-plus rebounds. The Lakers are back feeling good about themselves. And you know what? I give full credit to Russell Westbrook, who at this stage of his career put his ego aside, Shane, something that we both felt was impossible. And he's playing really well off the bench. He's accepted his role of 20 to 25 minutes per game and is making the most out of it. But the thing that's really shocked me in the past 36 hours is LeBron going back to his GM role and saying that he is waiting for management to make a move. Like, I don't think there are any moves to be made around the league that can help the Lakers without disrupting what they've created in the past 4 weeks.
The only thing that I'm shocked about is that you're shocked about LeBron saying that. I mean, isn't that the most predictable thing? So from a franchise, he's already recruited all his mates. They've underachieved and he's tried to play GM. It was typical that he's going to do this. He's trying to bully them to make more moves. And at the end of the day, the franchise has to hold strong because right now they have to start building something for the future without LeBron because he's going to do that like smoke bomb and disappear as soon as he thinks he can get some success somewhere else.
No, he's not disappearing. He's not disappearing. He's waiting for Bronny to do his 1 year of college, and then Bronny is going to sign with the Lakers, and then everything is good.
Natural order restored. Okay. I want to ask about the lack of defence being played. Also, the big tallies. OKC put 150 on the Celtics. Donovan Mitchell dropped 71. Luka was the first player of a 5-game span to drop 225 points, 50 rebounds, and 50 assists. What is happening? Why is there no defence being played? Somebody please explain this to me.
Shane, this is tough. And it's a great time to be an offensive-minded player is all I can say. Firstly, if you have skills like LeBron or Luka or Giannis or Donovan Mitchell, you have such a green light now. LeBron scored 37 points at 39 years of age. Donovan Mitchell had 71. Luka realistically probably could have hit 72 if he was just a bit more efficient in his game when he had 60 plus. Defenses, look, I think they tend to allow the main guy to go and get his and try and shut others down. I think that's the primary defensive philosophy now in the NBA to win games. Also, with the change to the 14-second shot clock reset, that's created more possessions. There's so many things going in favor of outstanding and highly skilled offensive players at the moment. It's no surprise that we've had 3 of the top 10 scorers in NBA history in the past 3 weeks.
Well, no, I think too that there's less offenses being run. There's less systems. It's all actions, and they get to the point quick. So not even just ISOs, but you're just coming straight down, and at stages you can't see anything run for long stretches of time. You just get straight into a pick and roll, and you put some really dominant, talented players in that action quick without any ball movement. Sometimes it becomes a little bit boring, to be honest, but very, very difficult to be able to defend, and particularly with the way the rules are now, where you can't touch them, you can't land under their feet, you can't get them on the elbow, you can't do anything that you used to be able to do, no body checking or holding or anything. So it's tough, and the best players are getting even more skilled as well. So at stages it's pretty to watch too.
Right, I want to talk about KD because of the fact that he's in the MVP conversation. He's averaging 59% from the field. The Nets have won 18 of their last 20. It's their best run in history. Hammer, you want to talk about KD because of his hair. Why?
Well, I thought that KD could do, Derek could do a little favour for his boy KD, because they have a look at the photo that hopefully director Dave's got. Now, he's not hiding that from anyone. We could land a helicopter on that thing. Now, D went through similar stages where he was losing his crops, right? And he'd have like that big flat top where he didn't think anyone could see it. But then he went for the toe ball. And you've been carrying that toe ball off. I just thought you might be able to message your boy and say, mate, time to come with me, because, mate, you haven't aged since you started doing that.
First of all, that photo is so photoshopped. That is great. That photo is so tampered with that it is just wrong to KD. However, it does not deny the inevitable. KD, homie, it is time to come in and join the club. Let it go. They're great products nowadays that can remove that hair. Low work, low labor intensity. You can get it down quick, and it looks good. KD, plus, you know what? You're rich, dude. It doesn't affect anything. You're a baller. Knock it all off, because that looks kind of homeless right there.
18 out of the last 20 wins, though, for your boys, and they are doing really well with the Nets. So, and good to see Ben Simmons, finding his way and play a valuable role in a team that's a legitimate contender.
Right, we've got to keep things moving.
Who else is doing well, Joe?
Go on.
Joe, can I jump in real quickly?
Mm-hmm.
You know who else is playing really well? The Philadelphia 76ers, led by James Harden. Hammer, what are you going to mention?
All right,
I love this.
We're going to wrap this up. We're almost out of time.
All of a sudden, we've got a couple of minutes. Go. No, okay, we'll talk about that next week. Dee, thank you so much. That is points made. Thanks to UPCOZ. We're almost halfway through the NBA season. We're getting to the pointy end of the NBL. Head to upcoz.com to check out all their odds and markets. All right, time to go in depth thanks to NBA 2K23 with Hawks coach Jacob Jacomas. Jacob, thanks so much for being on the basketball show. It's been a tough season for you guys. It just got tougher with Michael Frazier ruled out for the rest of the campaign. How have you dealt with this as a coach? Because it's been injury after injury. It can't be easy.
I guess it's just something that I've sort of gotten used to. So when we come into a game and someone doesn't come out, it might be the shock. But look, the guys have been really good. We've sort of got a pact between us all now that whatever happens, we just keep fighting through it. The players are driving it right now. We do have a young group that's a little bit fearless that way, and we do have a bunch of guys getting some opportunity they somewhat wouldn't gotten anywhere else. So within our camp and what's going on, as good as it can be, it is positive. The day-to-days are positive. And, we're just trying to be professional. The motto right now is we do have fans, we do get paid. We are playing a certain style that is enjoyable to watch for everyone. It's just we can't close games right now.
Well, Jacob, coming from a coach that's 3-8 myself and a season-ending injury to our starting, well, not injury, she's pregnant, but I can relate to you. What's the biggest learnings that you've had or surprises, going from an assistant coach to a head coach at the NBL level?
Management of staff is a big one. Gorge gave me a lot of rein to do some of that stuff. While I was assistant for a long time, and he did help me moving forward. But just doing that when you're the man is a bit different. And then the constant phone calls and trying to stay locked in just on basketball is really difficult to do. And early on in the piece, especially when we had these injuries, and we locked in our roster so late that. I was just not doing any basketball at all. As this season's gone on and as we've had these setbacks, I have done a better job of just locking in and worrying about basketball and letting the other people deal with the things that are totally out of my control.
Even with all the adversity that we've talked about, you've still been really competitive in a lot of these games. How, much pride can you take from that, and what can you learn from that moving forward?
I have to take pride of it, and I have to be realistic with the guys. We have had some games and where, we could have won, and we've been a little bit unlucky, but that's only a handful. And then there's been some, we have had some blowout games too, but I think everyone in the league's had some blowout games. It's just we haven't won the close ones at all to, have a little bit of pride of what's going on. In regard to learning right now is, player management at this part of the season is the most important thing. And you see, in seasons gone past, and that's probably why they added in the playing games to keep the level of interest. With that top four, teams were out so early. Now with that 6, they're talking about it where all these teams are in. Player management and, keeping the players, engaged is, this has been invaluable for me. It's been great. And just giving me confidence in, knowing that, when the chips are up, and we will turn it around or get some luck, that, this is the hardest days as it gets, I feel.
Well, at this stage of the season, obviously you're not going to make the playoffs, but you can plan for next year. What becomes the priority? You want to win games, no doubt. That's what you're doing it for on the day-to-day. But there's other priorities and things that you're looking at for planning for the future too, right?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough where the guys that are contracted, I know you guys are smiling, but the guys that are contracted have to play for us. So there's no mucking around about this guy needing this minutes, that I just able to coach basketball, and I don't have any sort of thought that way. I do have a responsibility because obviously, in every situation, no one team is the same. If you win the championship or you come last, no one team is the same. I do have the responsibility that everyone on my roster right now needs to get a fair go. But, in regard to, planning for next year, we're seeing where everyone's at. And, I think the guys are making it real difficult for us because, the behavior of everyone has been really good. Now, we've got 8 games right now. And, if we can get another import in time, that's up to management. But, we're going to have some good days and we're going to have some bad days. And hopefully those good days, I thought Adelaide was a good day, we could tick over and get a win. But in regard to, next year, our guys that are on the roster right now for next year are playing. So I don't have to think about it too much.
You mentioned the fact that there's an opportunity for some of the young guys to get more minutes and really step up. Davo Hickey has been excellent. We've talked about him in terms of the most improved and being in that discussion. But how good has it been from that point of view in terms of just taking the positives out of this season? The likes of him, Dan Greeter, those guys who are stepping up and showing what they can do.
Yeah, throughout all the year, we have had some wins that way and some things that keep our gym buzzing. I'll start with Dan. That was one of them. The year I mean, I've been involved, not in the first injury, but we signed him when he came in hurt. And then he played the end of the first year and really turned our season around with his energy and enthusiasm. And then I was there when he got hurt the second and third. I mean, I don't know how many times he's been hurt. But right now our medical staff has done an unbelievable job with the plan that he's had. And the club's been real patient with him and making sure he's first. But now that he's playing, and early on when we did have the 3 Americans, you know, he was still trying to find his feet, you know, but he's given us a massive lift. And then, you know, I'm proud of them all, like at certain stages. Even the guys that don't play that are young, that just come to practice all the time in AK and Madronya, you know, for them to keep it level-headed. Obviously, Davo and Lockie, you know, they are young and, you know, they're in the fire right now. But also, to be honest with you, Sammy's 22 years old, and right now I've asked him to be the team captain, which you know is a massive responsibility in the NBL with the Players Association, with chasing fines from, you know, dudes that are late, you know, like in regard to that, and also worry about basketball and then be at the forefront of the criticism. You know, if it's not him, it's me. And then the other one is Tyler. There's a lot to be said about Tyler, and people like to have stabs at Tyler right now, but a single import, if I had a single import, you know, with how he has to carry our scoring load, and you'll see this over the next 8 games, the attention he gets, you know, I don't want another guy. So we do every day do a good job, and the players do a good job believing in the positives, the small positives, just to keep this thing ticking over. And with having such a young group, there's a better day for everyone. It's my first year as a coach, and they're a young team, so it has to get better than this, just injuries alone. So you know, we got that high road going.
We're glad you're getting the little wins, because it really has been a tough season. 8 games left though, as you say. Best of luck for all of them. It starts tomorrow night against the Jack Jumpers. Jacob, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll have you on the basketball show again soon.
Good luck, mate.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Ta. Well, that is just about all we've got time for. It's all thanks to TCL Mobile, 2K23 and UPCOZ. But just before we go, from 2 shooters to another, shout out to DJ Vasiljevic, 42 points against South East Melbourne the other night. He hit 10 3-pointers. It was so impressive, the game of his life.
The most important thing about this, it was come after he had been struggling. He'd been in a little bit of a slump. And as a shooter, it's really difficult when you're in a slump to be able to burst your way out. And he did it. How good was this? 10 threes, massive crowd. Now the challenge is set. Come on, DJ. You got a few more in you.
Well, you hit 12 how many times?
Just 3.
Just a lazy 3. All right, well, there's a challenge for DJ. 12 is your next target. Beautiful.
Yeah, he can do it.
I reckon he can too. All right, thanks you guys. Thanks you guys. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next week.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.